Episode 1. The beginning of my story. I tried to tell Chiron I wanted to start small. Talk about the gods, our parents, first. He insisted I start with the story of how I found out I was a half-blood, and how I made my way to camp. Despite my will for you to learn more about how to defend yourselves, I am using Chiron's celestial bronze engraved computer, so that kinda means I have to listen to him. I'm warning you first. The story is kind of boring. For those of you who don't know, my name is Calyx Carter. I'm the daughter of the Greek goddess Athena, and I started making these podcasts because of a dream from her. Of course, I didn't always know who my mom was. My dad knew I was a demigod ever since Athena showed up and handed me over to him. This news, along with all the information my dad needed about me being in constant danger for the rest of my life, really set me up to be the poster child for an overprotective parent. He gave me liberties, like being able to go out after school and on weekends, but he didn't like the whole "don't use technology or you'll die" thing. He set curfews and made sure everyone I hung out with and their parents knew I had to be back by 6 o'clock on weekdays and 8 o'clock on weekends. Of course, for the first 12 years of my life, all I knew about my mother was that she met my dad when he was transferred from England to the first branch of his architectural firm in America. But I won't get into his story. He'll tell it soon enough. Oh yeah, I should probably mention that for the parent side of these podcasts, my dad will have quite a lot to talk about. From first steps to first monster attacks, he'll cover everything a parent needs to know. Think of it as what to expect when you're expecting a demigod. Anyway, he never indulged in the topic of my mom, but made sure I knew that wherever she was, she loved me. I could never tell if he was implying that she was dead or just moved really far away, and I never asked. Throughout my life, as I'm sure you can say the same, strange things happened around me. Sometimes I'd see things one way, and the rest of the world would see it another. For example, when I was in 4th grade, we were playing outside during a recess. I saw a dog the size of a fridge running down the sidewalk beside our school, black fur and obsidian eyes. It had stopped, turned its head towards me, and began to snarl. I was totally terrified. It looked like this dog was getting ready to charge, and with his size over my small petite 4th grade figure, he could take me down better than a linebacker. Whatever his plan had been was interrupted by my whole class pounding the asphalt to get closer to what they were calling the cutest poodle in the world. One time, in 6th grade, I was helping Miss Morrison bang out the chalkboard erasers after school. Don't laugh, I was and am a huge suck-up to teachers. When she excused herself to go to the bathroom. While she was gone, the room began shaking like there was an earthquake. Things fell from her desk, the lights turned off, and I yelled for help so loud I managed to break her glasses lying on the shaking desk. As soon as she opened the door and ran back in, the lights had turned on and the chaos had settled. According to everyone, the only one who felt the earthquake was me, and thus, I earned my first attempt. I was kind of a pain in the butt to my dad, loosely speaking. I've always been a smart girl. I can learn quickly and my brain works at 1,000,000 miles an hour. But put a textbook in front of me and I'm toast. I have dyslexia, which is common among demigods and makes it hard to read. The words rearrange themselves, letters float off the page. Speaking of, perhaps you don't know, our brains are hardwired for ancient Greek, which is why most of us do have dyslexia. We're meant to read the language we were born for, not English. Not to mention my struggle to pay attention. Dyslexia was a problem on its own. Dyslexia and ADHD is a nightmare. If my space was not tidy, I couldn't concentrate, and sometimes, no matter how interested I was in a topic, I'd zone out and come to at the end of class. My dad didn't know how to help. 11 and 12 are common ages for demigods to find out what they are. My overprotective dad had gotten me assigned a satyr, again, more on that later from my dad himself, to keep me safe when he wasn't there. My satyr's name was Elliot, and he didn't do much to protect me. there wasn't much to protect me from. I'd heard we got the occasional monster appearance, but as a child of Athena, my scent isn't as strong as some, and for more complicated reasons, they weren't as interested in me. Hey, I'm not complaining. It was the last day of 7th grade when my dad decided now was as good a time as any to ruin my definition of normal. He had picked up me and Elliot, put our backpacks in the trunk beside a duffel bag, and said he wasn't taking us home today. I asked what was up with the duffel bag and where we were going. I remember what he said almost to a T. Remember your mother? She's the Greek goddess Athena. The duffel bag in the back has clothes and some of your favorite books. I'm taking you to a summer camp for demigods like you. He'd said it nonchalantly, like I should understand completely what he was saying. I didn't, and this prompted a lot of questions towards my father and Elliot, who had shimmied out of his sheen to show off his blonde furry goat legs. Funnily enough, my memory cuts out there, almost completely. My dad told me what I was. I asked a few questions, and nothing. I woke up at Camp Half-Blood the next morning in Cabin 6, having missed my own claiming, and without any recollection of actually arriving there. Despite being told Elliot was a satyr and they had free roam of camp, I couldn't find him anywhere either. That was 3 years ago, and I still haven't seen him. And so, I've moved on. When I asked other satyrs about it, they'd get uncomfortable, like they didn't like Elliot or something, and they'd tell me it wasn't uncommon for satyrs to skip out and go to other schools to look for more demigods. School had ended, so where was he going? Summer school, apparently. Chiron managed to fill in some of my blanks anyhow, and since then, I come here every summer. I did warn you this was going to be a boring story, didn't I? Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that everyone's story is the same. More often than not, a demigod's journey to camp after finding out who they are, and sometimes before then, really sucks. Lots of us get sidetracked by monsters, big, scary monsters who really only want to kill us. Depending on who your godly parent is, monsters might be hunting you from birth. They don't care how old you are. If they know you're of godly descent, they will hunt you down. I guess what I'm trying to say is my finding out I was a demigod and my journey to camp was simple and efficient. I got there with a slight case of amnesia that could have just come from too much adrenaline, and before then, besides some weird occurrences, I didn't have many problems. Finding out you're a demigod isn't always yippee-skippy. In fact, it can be lethal. But if you do manage to make it to camp alive, well, congrats. You've passed the first test. Remember to watch your backs, take care of yourselves, and if you survive, I'll see you again next week. Calyx out.